Good morning, scholars. Today we're going to be doing our Thursday, April 23rd, day 4 reading comp lesson. So in your packet, your Kinder Reading Comp packet, you will need the worksheet that looks like this again, except it's going to say day 4 on it. So, scholars, looking at that worksheet and knowing what we did yesterday, again, today we're going to be talking about the beginning, the middle, and an end of a story. So we're going to read a story and we're going to identify the beginning, middle, and ends. Remember, the beginning of the story is what happens first. The middle is what happens next. And the end is what happens last. For example, if I told you the story that I put on my shoes and I took London for a walk, we played ball at the park, and then came home and I gave her dinner, the first or beginning part of my story was that I put on my shoes and we left the house. The middle part that came next is that we walked to the park and played ball. And the end part would be that we last came home and gave her some food. So, again, beginning, middle, and end, talking about what happens first, next, and last. Again, we have our anchor chart over there on the bottom, talking about beginning, middle, and end. So showing the picture, what happens first. First, we wake up. Middle, we brush our teeth and get ready. And in the end, we leave our house. So again, talking about what happens first, next, and last, beginning, middle, and end. All right, now that we've warmed up, let's go ahead and continue our first grade fiction element unit with beginning, middle, and end by reading the book, A Camping Spree with Mr. McGee. Just like yesterday's lesson, I will be stopping at certain points of the story to talk about the beginning, middle, and end of the book, and we will fill in our graphic organizer just like a college scholar like we did yesterday. I will again show what I've filled out after talking about it with you and give you time to copy it, or for your time for your parents to stop the video so that you can get that copied. Okay? All right, let's begin. Early one morning at 7:03, Mr. McGee and his little dog Dee packed up the camper and hitched up the load, hopped in the Rambler, and then hit the road. They drove to the mountains far from the sea for 2 nights of camping, possibly 3. "There's nothing like camping," said Mr. McGee. "I know you'll love it. Just wait and see. The views are fantastic. There's hardly a sound. Aside from the wildlife, there's no one around. And the air is so sweet, you'll sleep like a log," said Mr. McGee to his small, spotted dog. A few hours later, they took a sharp right and found a great spot to lay camp for the night. It was high on a hill with a beautiful view of Mount Adams, Mount Lincoln, and Jefferson, too. But perhaps the most wonderful feature of all was the brook that ran over a steep waterfall. Dee gathered pine cones and branches and logs. McGee made a campfire and took out some hot dogs. And as the sun set behind far distant knolls, they sat roasting marshmallows over the coals. Let's stop there, scholars, and talk about what we've heard so far. What has happened in the beginning of the story? What has happened first? Think about it for a second and turn and tell somebody, what have you heard about Mr. McGee and his little dog Dee in the beginning of the story first? You can use the pictures if you need. All right, come back to Miss T. So in the beginning, Mr. McGee and Dee go camping. That's what it is. They leave their house, they're driving up to the mountains, and they've decided they're going to go camping. So on our paper, under the column beginning, beginning, I'm going to write that Mr. McGee and his dog Dee go camping. Okay, let me go ahead and show this for you. and you can trace it on your paper, or again, parents, you can stop the video right now and allow your scholar to write it on their paper as well. Also, scholars, do not forget to write your name on your paper. It is very, very important that you write your name on your paper. We don't want you to forget how to write your name. That's very important. A few more seconds. Okay. We're going to go ahead and continue, but if your scholar has not had a minute to write all that, again, parents, feel free to pause the videos after I write and give your scholar the time to go ahead and write the responses on his page. Let's go ahead and continue. As the embers went out, they felt tired and dozy, so they climbed in their bunk beds, all comfy and cozy. But while they were falling asleep without care, along came a stumbling, bumbling bear. A kindly old bear whose sight wasn't so clear. He couldn't see far and he couldn't see near. But he could smell marshmallows, sticky and sweet. This made him hungry. He wanted a treat. He sniffed out the place where the marshmallows lay, but the car and the camper were in the bear's way. Yet that didn't stop the sneaky old snitch. He simply tried squeezing right under the hitch. The hitch is where the two cars are connected, so the bear's sneaking under it. And as he was shimmying his way into the gap, he pushed up the hitch, which let go with a snap. Now that the camper and car were untied, they started to roll down the rocky hillside. The car bounced away on the old logging road, but while the camper was heading to where the stream flowed, it flew down the hill in a wild, bumpy ride with Dee and McGee sleeping soundly inside. Bless you. They were snoring and snoozing, enjoying a dream, when splash went the camper right into the stream. The splash shook the camper. They bumped out of bed. Now what in the world was that? McGee said. And when he looked out, he saw where they were. His hair stood on his end, and so did Dee's fur. They were caught in the rapids, but that wasn't all. They were headed smack dab for the big waterfall. Dee and McGee both started to quiver. As faster and faster they headed down river. But just when they thought they'd fall over the edge, their camper got stuck on a rock at the ledge. So there they were, stranded, McGee and his pup, on top of a waterfall 50 feet up. Meanwhile, that nearsighted bear from before was searching for one little marshmallow more, when lo and behold, as out of a dream, he spied something sweet floating over the stream. But what the bear thought was a marshmallow treat was really a hitch and not something to eat. The bear was determined to capture his prize, so he jumped in the water right up to his thighs. He splashed through the stream to the edge of the fall and snatched up the trailer hitch, camper and all. All right, scholars, that was a lot in the middle. So let me go ahead and show you the pictures and see if you can tell somebody what happened in the story. We have this picture with the bear coming up, looking for those marshmallows. Remember, he hits the hitch in that picture. Camper's rolling. Camper's in the water. Mr. McGee and Dee wake up and they're scared because they're about to go over the waterfall. Their camper gets stuck on the rock. They don't know what they're gonna do. Here comes the bear looking for another little marshmallow. And now he's running to it. Tell somebody next to you what's happened in the middle of the story for a few seconds. Go ahead. Izzy, can I borrow your charger, please? All right, come back to Miss T or take a few more seconds if you need to. Again, parents, feel free to pause the video. So in the middle of the story, we now meet a bear who wants a marshmallow. And he thinks that their camper has a marshmallow on it. So that's exactly what happened in the middle. In the middle, we meet a bear, and the bear can smell the marshmallows that Mr. McGee and Dee had earlier, and he wants to get them. But he knocks their camper in the water, and then he goes and helps them because he thinks he's missed one more marshmallow. That's still kind of a lot, so I'm going to summarize it. I'm going to make it a little bit shorter so that we're not writing that much on our paper. Give me 1 second to get my phone set up. Sorry about that. Miss T's phone was dying, so I needed to get my charger, or my daughter's charger, and get it fixed. Okay. So in the middle, what happened next, we're going to talk about the bear comes to get the marshmallows. He knocks their camper, or the camper, into the waterfall. Okay, so next, in the middle, the bear comes to get the marshmallows. He knocks the camper into the waterfall. I'm going to go ahead and turn over the camera. Again, parents, feel free to pause, allow your scholar time to write this, or you can have them write in the time that I've allotted. Okay, let's go ahead and continue to find out what happens at the end of the book. Dee felt a tug. McGee heard a knock as the bear pulled the camper right off of the rock. He dragged them both all the way back to the bank. When he realized the hitch was not sweet but quite rank, he spit out the hitch and left in dismay, while McGee and Dee's camper rolled away. It flew down the path with a jolt and a jar and stopped in some bushes right next to the car. Dee popped her head out. McGee looked out too. Had they really stopped rolling? Could it be true? At last things were quiet and peaceful and still. They hooked up the hitch and drove down off the hill. And on the way home, McGee said to Dee, "That trip wasn't quite like I thought it would be." So when they got home, with the sky turning red, they decided to camp in their backyard instead. The end. So now that we're talking about the end, we're talking about what happened last. Let's go ahead and review those pictures and have you tell somebody. So the bear has the camper in his mouth. He thinks it's the marshmallow. He's pulling it to safety. He gets him to safety, realizes it's not a marshmallow. They put the camper back to their car. They go home and they're camping in their backyard. Go ahead and tell somebody around you what happens at the end of the story. Okay, come back to Miss T. So in the end, the camper lands safely on the land, or out of the water, and Mr. McGee and Dee decide to go home and camp at home instead. So let's write that, okay? The camper gets out of the water safely Muggy, and D drive home and camp in their backyard. All right, I'm gonna turn the camera over. Again, parents, feel free to stop the video, but go ahead and give your child the time to write this at the end. All right, scholars, I hope you've enjoyed the story and the day today. Again, continue talking about beginning, middle, and end with your parents in books that you read or in shows that you watch, telling them what happens first, next, and last. Again, really practicing those key concepts so they'll help you when you retell a story with your reading comprehension, with your testing that you'll do next year in first grade, or with your writing. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.